It was supposed to be the perfect summer day. Balloons were up, music playing, and a bunch of kids laughing and running around in the front yard. Just a wholesome 10-year-old's birthday party in full swing. Parents were out with folding chairs, kids were smashing cupcakes, and everything seemed picture perfect. That is, until the self-proclaimed queen of the neighborhood, aka the HOA Karen, showed up, arms crossed, with that signature scowl that could kill a vibe in seconds. She didn't come to wish happy birthday. Nope. She came to shut it down. According to her, the party was breaking some vague HOA quiet hours rule, even though it was broad daylight and nobody else seemed to mind. But instead of just asking politely, Karen whipped out her phone and actually called 911. Yes, on a bunch of kids having cake. What she didn't expect, the cops didn't exactly see things her way. What started as a birthday party turned into a full-on neighborhood spectacle, with everyone watching as Karen's plan took a major left turn. But what did the officers say when they showed up? And how did this escalate from noise complaints to cuffs and consequences? Let's just say, karma might have RSVP'd to that birthday party after all. So here's the thing, this wasn't Karen's first rodeo. Neighbors say she's been patrolling the block like it's her personal kingdom ever since she somehow got on the HOA board. We're talking lawn measurements, mailbox colors, and even passive-aggressive notes about holiday decorations. But this time, she took things way too far. The birthday party was for a sweet little girl named Eva. Her mom had spent weeks planning everything. They even got a bounce house, invited the whole class, and made sure everything wrapped up before dinner. But none of that mattered to Karen. The second she saw kids dancing and a speaker playing Kids Bop at a non-regulation volume, she stormed over like she was on a mission. Parents tried talking to her, calmly, respectfully, but Karen was already on the phone, reporting a disturbance and throwing around words like unlawful assembly and endangering property values. Yeah, property values, because of a kid's party. Meanwhile, a few parents started recording, sensing this was about to blow up. You could feel the shift. Laughter faded. Music got turned down. Everyone just waited, kids confused, parents annoyed, and Karen pacing like she was waiting for backup. But when the squad car rolled up, it wasn't the birthday crew who got the third degree, and that's when things really started to unravel. The moment the police car pulled up, the entire block fell silent. You could hear the bounce house fan humming and the distant bark of a neighbor's dog, but every eye was locked on Karen and the approaching officers. She strutted toward them like she was about to be crowned Citizen of the Month, waving her arms and pointing toward the kids like they were outlaws. One of the officers, clearly trying to stay professional, listened as Karen went on and on about excessive noise, unauthorized gatherings, and even tried to mention a possible alcohol violation, which made the parents laugh because the strongest thing there was juice boxes. The cops nodded politely, but you could see the confusion building on their faces. Then came the other side. Ava's mom stepped forward, calm but firm. She explained everything, that it was a kid's birthday party, it was all happening before sunset, and they weren't blocking driveways or doing anything illegal. Other parents backed her up, showing text messages from the HOA newsletter that said nothing about restrictions for weekend daytime events. Meanwhile, a small crowd of neighbors started forming on their lawns, some filming, some just watching. And that's when another layer to the drama surfaced. Turns out, Karen had a bit of history. A few folks had receipts, literally, fines she issued, complaints she made, and even a petition some residents were quietly passing around. This wasn't just about the party anymore. It was about control and a community that might finally be reaching its breaking point. As more neighbors gathered, the vibe completely shifted. What started as a fun backyard party had turned into a full-on showdown between Karen and an entire neighborhood that was clearly done with her antics. People weren't just watching anymore, they were speaking up. One dad stepped forward and calmly told the officers that Karen had once reported his teenage daughter for reckless sidewalk chalk. Another neighbor pulled up an email where Karen demanded someone remove a welcome mat because it was too bright. The officers, trying to keep things under control, started asking real questions, not just about the party, but about Karen's pattern of behavior. One officer even mentioned they'd been called to this neighborhood before by the same person. That's when Karen's confident stance began to crack. Her voice got louder, more defensive. She started accusing people of ganging up on her, claiming harassment, and demanding someone do something. Then, one of the officers stepped aside and started talking into his radio. Nobody could hear exactly what was said, but you could feel something shifting. A few moments later, a second squad car arrived. That's when Karen really started to lose it. She tried walking away, rambling about how she was just doing her duty, but the officers weren't letting her off the hook so easily this time. And right then, in front of kids, parents, and neighbors who had dealt with her for years, something happened that no one saw coming. Just as the second squad car pulled in and Karen tried to distance herself from the growing scene, one of the officers calmly asked her to stay put. That's when things got even stranger. A woman from 2 houses down, someone who hadn't said much until now, stepped forward with her phone out and a quiet but serious tone. She told the officers that this wasn't just about noise complaints or HOA power trips. She claimed Karen had been using her position on the HOA to target specific families, especially renters and newer homeowners, with bogus citations and threats of fines. She had screenshots, emails, even a voice recording of a meeting where Karen allegedly said she wanted to clean up the neighborhood, and not in a way that sounded good. The officers took notice. One of them asked to see her phone, and suddenly this wasn't just about a birthday party anymore. This was possibly harassment. Karen's face went pale. She kept insisting it was all a misunderstanding, but the officers were no longer just nodding politely. They started asking more direct questions, even stepping away with her to get statements from the other neighbors. The parents at the party tried to keep things light for the kids, but the tension was thick in the air. And just when it felt like it couldn't get any more intense, one of the officers asked Karen a question that made the entire block freeze. The officer looked Karen straight in the eye and asked, "Ma'am, are you aware that filing a false police report is a criminal offense?" The crowd went silent. Even the kids, who were halfway through birthday cake, sensed the shift. Karen blinked, stammered something about doing what's right, but it was clear. This was spiraling out of her control. The officer went on, explaining that after reviewing the scene, hearing from multiple witnesses, and checking the recordings, there was no evidence of any criminal activity, no excessive noise, no safety hazards, no violations worth calling 911 over. But what stood out most was the pattern of targeted, repeated complaints. And with the neighbors' evidence now on record, the officers had enough to take it further. In a moment that left jaws dropped, they asked Karen to turn around. She protested, loudly, claiming she was the victim. But the cuffs clicked anyway. Not because of the party, but for misuse of emergency services and possible harassment. The parents stood frozen, some in disbelief, some honestly relieved. After years of dealing with her drama, it felt like the neighborhood finally got a voice. As the officers led Karen toward the squad car, she yelled back one last time, "You'll regret this." But the real twist. A calm voice replied from the crowd. It was the HOA president, and she said, "Actually, Karen." After Karen was taken away, the atmosphere slowly shifted back to what it was meant to be: celebration. The parents turned the music back on, the kids returned to the bounce house, and Ava finally got to open her presents with a smile. It wasn't the party anyone expected, but it was definitely one no one would forget. Over the next few days, word spread fast. The HOA held an emergency meeting and, with enough signatures, officially removed Karen from the board. Turns out, she had been issuing fines and complaints that weren't even in line with HOA rules. The board apologized to residents and promised better communication moving forward. As for Ava's family, the neighborhood rallied behind them. Some parents brought over cupcakes the next day, and a few neighbors even offered to help clean up. What started as a chaotic afternoon turned into a powerful reminder of community and what happens when people stick together. Karen's call to 911 on a child's birthday party was the tipping point. But in the end, it brought out the truth, cleared the air, and gave the neighborhood a fresh start. Sometimes, karma doesn't just show up. Sometimes it brings backup and leaves room for cake.